Hi, what's up, gentlemen?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. What about you, Jordan? How's it hanging there, sir?
I'm pretty good. I mean, the Avs won game one, so
And the
status
Cubs
with
never
them.
win.
Exactly.
Oh
Well,
man.
I mean, are you glad I started rooting for the Lightning last night?
It didn't matter, honestly. I mean, yes and no. I mean, we were up 2 goals, and then you said, "Oh, I'm going for the Lightning." I'm like, "Don't jinx us," and then actually it ended up working. So you should do that
See?
again. Do that in
Okay,
game
go
two.
Lightning, go!
No,
Just
no,
for you,
no.
Jordan.
With her, it became lightning became a little bit of thunder and then a spit of rain, and then it was over.
Yeah.
Hey, how'd you know about the thunderstorm in Uptown Charlotte today?
Because we're about to get some here too.
We needed. Sure, you needed to actually.
Yeah. Well, good evening to all. We got some great topics tonight.
Yes,
Tremendous.
we do.
It's like one of the ones that I wanted to bring up, and what will you say right now? I'm saying number one. And I thought this would be wonderful for three chicks, by the way. Yelena Dokic.
Yes, that's a sad story right now.
It
Well,
really is.
I'm going to bring the thing for the people that don't have a lot of the story. It's like she was a former number 4 in the world. She really good tennis player, top notch. I mean, pretty solid. But here was the issue that she dealt with her life. Her dad was an abusive jerk. Damir Dokic was an abusive jerk. He abused her. He abused the officials. He'd go after fans that would go in after the thing. He'd get kicked out of the tournaments. It was embarrassing. And then he was the coach. Then he abused her again. And then it got to, I mean, this was somebody that had a possibility of a number 1 potential. And it's just, she basically sunk. Her mind sunk. And the reason I wanted to bring this tonight is like she was this close to jumping off the building and killing herself. 39 years old. And I didn't even realize she was that old to begin with. And
I didn't know she was that old either.
Yeah. And the thing I wanted to bring with this is the fact this has to link with one of our topics a couple weeks ago. And Jordan, you probably agree with this. All of those parents that are abusing officials right now, they're abusing officials, and they're like, there was one youth coach that punched a 72-year-old umpire right in the face, broke his jaw.
That just happened this week too.
Yep. And it's like this is the thing. There's this thought process that violence equals winning. You know, you get to this thing. It's the whole idea of Bob Knight, and he yelled a lot.
He's a douchebag.
Oh yeah,
I mean, one of the all-time great coaches, but yeah. But I'm like, douchebag, and it's like, but people have looked at that. It's like, because he was so good with getting the education, making it important at Indiana, so good at making sure that the parents knew that their kids are going to graduate. Then they talked to him. He was a salesperson, but he was abusive.
Mm-hmm.
He was abusive. And Dom DeVoe over at Tennessee, he was back in the 70s and 80s. He was abusive. Well, he probably was still abusive, but Kevin Nash smacked him straight down to his thing for trying to get in his face. That's what got Kevin Nash kicked off the team.
I didn't know that.
No, yeah.
Or did I not remember that? But here's the thing. People have been abusing refs and coaches forever. Yeah. Like, my parents lived in Hickory when my brother was small. Like, they went to Appalachian State and they moved to Hickory, and we left Hickory when I was 3. So for those who don't know, Hickory is the furniture capital of the world. One of the reasons why my parents wanted out of there was because during one of my brother's T-ball games, one of the fathers like went up and like physically assaulted. I mean, I was like 2 or 3 or not born yet. Physically assaulted the one of the officials or the coach. I don't remember the full story, but yeah.
The thing about parents in general is they want the best out of their kids, and I get that. But the way some of these parents do it is not the right way to push kids into sports. I've even heard it from a couple of local guys here. Well, I'm in Grand Junction, but I listen to Denver radio, and one of the athletes they have is Ryan Harris, who, by the way, won a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos. Not trying to get into any of that. But
we may not talk after this, Jordan. We may break up again.
The point that he
you guys
was
have an
making,
interesting relationship.
oh, we do. The point he was trying to make is he doesn't want to push his kids into playing a sport. It has to be their interest. And I think too many people push their kids into sports and they get burned out. And that's where you see the abuse, especially with the fact that 1% of these kids are going to go on to play in the pros. It's a very, very small percent. You can't sit there and push them into sports. They have to want to play them. If they're in it, don't push them.
Right. Well, and Michael Jordan has been on the record as saying, and interestingly, in the last 2 weeks, Michael Phelps doesn't want his kid going to the Olympics.
Unless of course, they'd probably be like the caveat of if he wants to, fine, but he just doesn't want pushing to it.
Mm-hmm.
No, he doesn't want his kids going to the Olympics.
That may or may not be his decision. If they're a high profile,
he's going to support his kid, whatever they decide to do, but he doesn't want them to have the stigma of being Michael Phelps' kid.
Yeah,
that I understand.
Plus, there's a lot of crazy that goes on in the Olympic Village that, I know I go a little off the wall. I know Jacob does too. Jordan, you're kind of the calm one out of us. But I will use decorum and not discuss what I have heard goes on there.
There's a lot that we've heard that goes on in the Olympic Village,
so we'll leave it there. But Michael Jordan has even gone on record with he didn't want his kids to be pushed into basketball. I think only one of his kids played basketball, and it was at a private school.
Well,
a small private school.
And he tried to play in college, and then he just gave up.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say with Michael Jordan's kids. He just quit basketball.
Now he's doing NFTs, and this is funny that Michael Jordan's kid Jeffrey's doing NFTs, like non-fungible tokens, which is so funny because then he was saying that he was his dad was all for him to doing it, and then the media brought it like, oh my God, Michael Jordan's a part of this, and it's like that's a dangerous thing to say business-wise because the NFTs might fail, and then Michael Jordan looks like everything he touches turns to gold. And he's got to have that person. He's got to have the image of someone who never fails.
Well, so it's kind of true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but it's methodical too. He doesn't just jump into something without planning it out.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that he kind of did jump into that ended up like being quite lucrative for him was the Nike deal.
That's
because he was not going to do the Nike deal.
Yeah.
And he was going to go with, I think at that time, Reebok was bigger. Was he Reebok or Adidas?
I think it was Adidas.
And Nike offered him a little bit more money and partnership. And yeah, they were here. And guess what made him a billionaire?
Nike shoes.
Well, my thing though with bringing all this up is the fact that you brought up the idea of forcing the kids. When we're forcing kids, you got to realize I bring up Jay Cutler 1,000 times as a football player. This is the thing. As a football player, you can't stand the dude as far as the fan himself.
Hey, that's what we saw in Denver. Just saying.
Yeah, but of course. But it's like, well, here's a question I always put into my head with him. It's like, I'm going to put the human side now. Remember, right? There's a fan side and a human side. Here's the and here's the thing. I'm going to ask it about James Harden too. Fan side, human side. How much do they truly want to do this, or were they in their life forced? And it's like, was it because they're that good? I mean, you got to realize something. Josh Rosen was a tennis player. All of a sudden, he picked up a football, and he was that good. And it's like, how much was that his decision? How much was it parents' decision? It's like, he really doesn't have a work ethic with it. Why isn't he playing tennis?
Well, that's just like, what is it? Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates, they were basketball players and just picked up football. And look at Tony Gonzalez as the best tight end that ever played. And I mean, Antonio Gates is up there. So yeah, it does make you wonder if they were pushed into basketball and then they wanted to play football, or what exactly happened.
Oh no, Golden Tate just went into baseball. He's in the independent leagues right now, and he just says my first love. Tim Tebow was actually better at baseball in high school. And I think he played freshman year at Florida. I think he was better. He was better at baseball by miles over football, but he was also.
He should have stayed in baseball.
Huh?
Yeah. He should have stayed.
I agree with that.
Tebow's main strength, and he had one strength, is he is completely instinctive, and he had a phenomenal clutch gene. But here's the deal: if he would have stayed in baseball, he probably would have been that good, because he was like 584 in high school in the total. I mean, like in his senior year or something, some absurd number.
It does make you wonder. I mean, if he was that good, why did he switch to football? Because
he loved it. Why do you think he kept going out, kept trying for quarterback, kept doing this? He loves football.
And yet he ended up being the starter for the Denver Broncos and won a playoff game, lucky playoff game, if that.
And I will say the smartest thing Urban Meyer did do was get Tim Tebow and Jacksonville so that the media was on and not on Trevor. Like, that came out after the fact that's why he did that, and it made sense. I was like, I hate to give him any credit, but that was kind of
the truth with Urban, though, if he keeps Tebow, even if Tebow's on the bench, about a third, maybe 2/3 of that crap that happened that year probably doesn't happen, because Tim Tebow's he's like a human angel, like a big thing and stuff like that. That he kind of keeps you accountable.
I was just going to say, so does that mean Urban Meyer's still the Jacksonville coach? I still don't think so.
No, he'd be out at the end of the year.
Okay, I would agree with that.
For being garbage. He'd be out for the end of the year. He wouldn't have gone 6 games, whatever. But he would not. There's no way he goes to a bar with Tebow around and has that woman around him. There's no way. As I said, it's not saying that he wouldn't be him. It's the fact that there's just that dude, and a lot of people have said this. He's just that dude. You just hold yourself accountable.
Well, and one thing that I don't know. So I feel bad for Jelena, right? I really do. Mm-hmm. But she's coming public with it not even 6 weeks after it happened.
Yeah.
And therapy's good. My mom's a therapist, a counselor. So therapy is great. I fully advocate therapy. I'm not someone who is makes fun of mental health. Like, I get mad when I see mental health memes. Like, I get mad. It bothers me. But therapy doesn't happen that quick. So.
No, she's not done yet. I think
no, not at all.
I think she just needs to
Absolutely. Talk. That's what therapy is about. Everybody has a stigma. Well, you know what? Everybody needs somebody to talk to.
And then we've also had, just in the mental health side of tennis, we also had Naomi Osaka, who didn't play the French Open last year, and people were wondering why. Well, it was mental health. I'm just glad this is all coming out to light, because even in all other sports, these players need help with mental health. Just get the help.
Absolutely.
Well, think about Osaka. She's got 4. Here's the deal. She's got 4 Grand Slams. She got 4 Grand Slams before 24. And now she can't even win a first round thing. And the thing is, she just bought a stake, and she owns now a sports talent agency. And I'm like, if that's what you love to do, is to help people that want to be athletes again. And I'm thinking about Simone Biles too. She just literally owns a gymnastics center that deals with mental health. First time that it's ever happened. And I'm like, why? And it's like, I love it. I love what they've done with that. And it's like, why do we have a United States Gymnastics Center now, considering how much crap that they've done? Why not use her? As as far as Naomi Osaka, I'm like, why not use something like that? It's like, sometimes sports just isn't it in your life. Why not go? Why not do your love and what you're good at? Because here's the thing. I don't think Naomi loves this. And the thing is, we're not in an era anymore where you don't have to do it if you don't love it. I mean, personally, to me, Nick Kyrgios, unless he gets the whole thing like I talked about with the Saudi Arabian deal, when they go after tennis next, which they will, he'll probably get money from that. And that's when he'll do it, but he doesn't like tennis. Can't stand it. And this is not an era where you're forced to do it anymore. But these players have also been since they're 3 years old doing this, and they don't have a business degree, they don't have any knowledge of life, they don't have all that. And see these Grays, I make fun of these for a thing, but I'm proud of them.
We make fun of them behind your back.
Huh?
I said we make fun of them behind your back.
No, good, glad you do.
I'm sorry.
I know.
I thought we needed a little laughter
No,
there.
absolutely. But no, I look at these because I'm just going to be completely honest on something. I was so naive for so long in my life. And I had to go into I had to live in a hotel and barely survive and reach into my car for coins, being an Uber driver for getting gas. Had to do things like that to grow up. And I had to do all that stuff. And you know, I think about now, there are athletes that have money. They've never had to do what I had to do, but they're in the same boat that I was in. I've heard of tennis players that said to me, I'm like professional tennis players, said, I can't stand this. I can't hate it. But they don't have any business ideas. They have no business acumen, no life acumen, no anything.
Well, and here's the thing. I have said this I know Jordan and I know we've known each other for about a year now, Jacob. Jordan and I about 2 years.
Yeah.
I have been steadfast in my belief that colleges and universities, Dean Smith, Coach K, probably, who are we just talking about that I called a D-bag?
Knight.
Yeah, Bobby Knight. Okay. It's the bigger powerhouse coaches probably do this, but the professional teams need to have a fiduciary on site, and they need to have multiple, and they need to be checked out to make sure they're legit and on the up and up. That way, the fiduciaries are helping these athletes take control of their money. Dean Smith didn't play games. Roy Williams didn't play games. Herbert Davis isn't playing games. Coach K didn't play games when it came to his players and knowing finance. Could they take other lackadaisical courses? Absolutely. But and Mac Brown, they were all told, hey, you got to go and take personal finance classes. You need to know what you're doing. You're going to make money.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to be instituted. These personal finance classes need to be instituted. Most people don't know. I work for Wells Fargo. There's a great website we have. It's called handsonbanking.org. It teaches you the basics. And some of it, I've been in finance for over 20 years, gentlemen. Some of it I'm like, I didn't even think of that. I had to take a personal finance class at Wells. And while I was doing that, I'm not the best at math. I'm not going to lie. So I work for a bank. And but I do it in a non-fiscal capacity. So I don't have to play with numbers or run numbers or anything like that. But when I took that personal finance class, this guy was the one person who ever made taxes make sense to me. And it has to make sense.
Yeah.
And you have to be relatable. And the professional teams need to start doing this. You can't do what a lot of these guys are doing. Oh, I get LeBron James is making his best friend famous and a millionaire also. I don't care. LeBron James is lucky. Yeah. And that his best friend's actually got his back. How many other athletes have brought their friends and their family up and they've only been taken advantage of? And that's where I actually think Jeleena's coming from. Because when you're a four-time WWT tennis player, number 4 in the world of all tennis players, you've got the respect and acclamations of people like Chris Everett, Andre Agassi, Selena and Venus, Oksana. You've got this. And you're feeling lonely. That's sad. That's because there's several things going on there. You don't have self-esteem. And we all have bouts of self-esteem issues. That you don't trust yourself. And that's when you also really just need to take time out and go sit on the beach or go to the mountains and just be by yourself and get to know you again. And it's okay to get to know you again.
Oh, you know how many that don't get to do that? And Jordan, remember we were talking about this. Thanks for bringing up the money deal. Remember we talked about when I brought up the idea of Ian Happ the other night, why he'd want to stay? I brought this up, Jen, the other night. They're talking about Ian Happ. He says, I want to be a Cub for life. And I said, well, this is somebody with probably a couple kids and a wife. And he wants to, and it's one of those deals where it's like, now you've got a house that you're probably in. You've got to ask the wife for one thing. That wife doesn't want to move over. She's already moved enough. He's been on a couple extra teams. They've moved enough. He wants to. It's like this is a family situation now. So I'm bringing these ideas up to people with Pundits Pundit. Is like I'm not saying you guys, but I'm talking about the fans. You're not. You're the hope of your baseball fantasy team. Your everything means nothing. And this is the 98% of athletes, not LeBron. Thank you, Jen. This is not the 98% of athletes. This is 98% of athletes. I mean, they go 3 years. They go 3 years, and then they don't know anything. A lot of them go broke, and a lot of them have wives. A lot of them have kids. A lot of them have all that stuff, and then they've done this all their life. And what are they going to do now? The show, let's see, Ballers. You guys ever seen that?
It's been a while.
With The Rock. The Rock had a phenomenal show. He brought that whole thing up. The first season was this, I forget the actor's name, but he played an offensive lineman that just retired. He had just retired. And what am I going to do next? Blah, 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 blah. And he tries to sell cars for a while. He stinks at it. And it's all that stuff. And then he goes back into sports, and then he just lucks into like the front office, lucks into it. But not everybody gets to do that. But so many athletes are like that guy, like that character. They are, what am I going to do next? I mean, it's like, why do you think Moses Malone lasted 21 years in the NBA when his knees were gone at 10? It's like, what else do I do?
And that's the one problem. That's the one problem we're seeing with athletes in general. Again, I'm going to go back to Ryan Harris. When he invested his money, he did pretty well. He has a few businesses, but he saw in the locker room where these rookies would get monumental contracts and they'd start spending. And he's trying to tell them, you need to invest it, put it aside. Don't give it to your friends, your family, because what's that's going to do? You're going to end up losing money and not having it at the end of your career. So I definitely think there needs to be something to be said about how these athletes need to learn how to invest, how to save. I know they have a rookie talk, but then that's it. That's all you get. And it still doesn't help because they're still blowing their money.
Oh, the symposium. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
What were you saying, Jen? We're sorry.
Oh, no, I interrupted Jordan. But no, and that's what's important. Like, that's why, and I don't know that everybody knows what a fiduciary is. There's not a lot of really good ones out there, just to be honest. But a fiduciary is not a investment dude. He's not like on Wall Street. He's that guy who will he's not a stockbroker. He will kind of advise you. He'll put it in like mutual funds for you if you want, but you'll make money monthly off of that money. Like Jason Tatum hasn't touched a dime of his rookie contract. Not a dime. And that's awesome. And he's getting his money elsewhere. And I love that.
Jay Leno did the same thing.
I think Rob Gronkowski hit all of his contracts. He hasn't touched. He's touched his endorsements, but that's it.
Yeah, Jay Leno did the same thing for Tonight Show. $250 million by the time he retired. And he still goes on the weekends, but he just gets to what he does what he wants to for the rest of his life.
Right. And then, you have your Tom Brady who can live off his wife because she's more wealthy. So.
Sure. But those are these are examples. And it's like, and the thing is, and it used to be, and I was going to say this, I'm going to be doing an interesting segue into another thing, but it used to be television. You made your money on television, but television's dead. And I'm segueing into this, and it's like, this is the second one I want to go to. TV is dying, and the sports need to realize it.
I wouldn't say TV is dying necessarily. Yes, we don't have everything is starting to go away. I would say cable is going away, but the thing is, and we've talked about this on a lot of our chats, is it's now going to streaming. What do you have? You have Disney.
That's what I mean, though. I'm talking about the natural TV, the traditional TV of now. I mean, it's all streaming.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, but no.
And you know what? I love paying an extra $5 a month so I don't have to watch commercials.
Who doesn't? But see, this is the thing I have to bring up. They are bringing up these TV deals all the time. They like Live Golf, for instance. I want to give you this example. Every single know-it-all media person's going, they don't have a TV deal. They don't. I don't want them to.
Right.
I don't want Live Golf to have one. It's like, I want them to show a point that YouTube television's the future. YouTube Premium's the future. Put your ads on there for your stuff. Well, that is because the thing is, I was bringing up WWE. We were bringing up Vince in the third segment, but I'm bringing up WWE here. They used to, it's like, for instance, they brought up the Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant back in '88 had a 15.1 rating, 33 million watched it. I don't think 33 million watch in 6 months now by itself. And it's like, because they're all going to YouTube and they're all going into wherever the video streaming service is. They're going to TikTok. They want to see points and moments. Do you notice TVs are cheaper? TVs are cheaper. My 14-year-old nephew doesn't watch TV except for us old bastards. He doesn't watch TV. He not a lick. He's watching his tablet. That's every kid now.
And to your point, I know my brother-in-law was saying, this was a while ago, it's like, well, the NFL had this many rating. I said, yeah, except for how many of those are streaming. You don't know because you don't know the actual numbers. But I know for me, I do have cable just because it's hard for me to get some of the sports channels here in Grand Junction. But I know in Denver, you have Avoca TV, which is just a streaming service. The nice thing about that is you get to pick which sports channels you want. You don't have to go through hundreds of channels to find just a few you want. I definitely agree with you that streaming is going to be the future. It's the same with radio, for instance. We've seen, my background is in radio. Right now,
it sounds like it.
Yeah. If you think about it, what's taking over? Pandora, Spotify. Mm-hmm. Most of these people who have, radio jobs that are playing music, that's all going to go away. I do think talk radio is still going to be here, but again, you still have Spotify and Pandora. But
you've got Bill Maher, you've got Joe Rogan. I mean, Bill Maher's
you've got podcast.
Exactly.
You guys need to watch Club Random with Bill Maher. He's amazing. It is. He has his own. I'm just saying, he has his own little basement nightclub downstairs. Keeps some alcohol, brings one buddy around, has a drink, and talks with them. That's the whole show, and it's awesome.
That's basically where talk radio is going to go, which is kind of my point. I mean, you're still going to have sports play-by-play. That's not going to ever go away. But sports talk or even talk radio as we know it, it's all going to be podcasts where you can listen to it later, which is now already starting. But I think we're going to see that more often.
Well, and I do know, like, during my research, I did know, like, one of the articles was saying that 63% of Americans had a cable TV subscription in 2016. That had, as of end of December 2021, that it dropped to less than 45%.
I'm not surprised.
And then they're saying also that, eMarketer is speculating that over 55 million cord cutters in the U.S. Only. So like there's over 330 million people in the U.S. alone. So only 55 million people with cable. And I have YouTube TV. Yeah. So I like YouTube TV. And I mean, it gives me everything I want. I can sort the channels alphabetically and I'm a happy girl.
Well, and you know something, and that's understood. Like, and guess, you know what keeps my mom? My mom's 76 years old. You want to know what keeps my mom from? You know what keeps her from getting a streaming at this point in time right now? The streaming hasn't figured out a solid situation with local television. Mm-hmm. She still likes her local news.
Peacock has.
Yeah, well, you're right, but I'm just
CBS has.
No, but I'm just saying not solid. Not every little.
But here's the thing.
Now. Right.
Those channels are federal. Like Obama made it a federal regulation that those channels had to be HD TV and they had to be publicly aired. So you don't have to have that. Now, if you want a better antenna, just go on Amazon and buy a really good antenna for $25.
Right.
And that'll happen. Yeah. I mean, we've done that. Like straight up, we've done that.
No, but that's what I think. But the only reason I'm just bringing that as an example with my mom and everything. Do you think she likes paying the amount of money, the absurd amount of money that cable does? No. Oh my God, you hear it all the time. And
get her to go to YouTube TV.
Well, the thing is, we're trying to, like I said, I've got to figure out.
No, because YouTube TV is a cable subscription.
Yeah.
It's half the cost. It's $70 a month for everything.
So you get So you get the local channels.
Yeah. Because my husband and I watch the local channels every night. But
then that's a heck of an idea then, because she's tired of paying for that.
Yeah, absolutely. If she has a smart TV, even if she doesn't, get her to get a smart TV. The Trunk Show on Amazon had a 55-inch smart TV today for like $250.
That's what our point I was making. It's like, look at the prices of these televisions now, because this is the last era as we're going to see these. Like I said, what 14-year-old kid is buying their own television?
Nobody. I can't think of anyone.
So
actually, I'm going to go with they're going to be doing it still. TV's not going anywhere. Because people want to get bigger and better, because it's just like movies aren't going anywhere. And then, well, yeah, but you want a bigger screen.
That's true. That is the
problem.
And
as the smart TV, then you can still stream everything on there.
Yeah.
Like I have Peacock, I have HBO Max. I canceled Netflix because they pay too much for crappy content.
Yeah.
I've got done the ESPN Plus, Hulu, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN.
You say you're paying about $400 total.
No, because but those three right there are $14 a month.
Yeah, right.
Total. But for all three of them, it's $14 a month, and then like my HBO Max is like $16. So I'm paying about $120 a month for entertainment with everything.
That rocks. And no, that's my thing. You're right. That's cool though. It's like, but that's my thing with Live Golf. I'm going to say that. I hope it can lead itself, because it is 8 tournaments in 5 months. So it's like it is there, but that's what I hope. Even if it doesn't survive in itself, I don't know whether it will or won't. But here's the thing: I hope it leads to the idea of what the media keeps joking about, the TV deal. I want them to survive on YouTube or whatever the streaming service, because, like I said, I'll tell you this, for instance, Fox they won the thing for the NFL over CBS for the NFC, $400 million, 1994, which was considered enormous. But you're getting these type of deals now. They're getting into the billions, but now they have to include streaming because of ESPN Plus, WWE Network. All of this has to include streaming with their service now. This is not just a channel-only deal. And who the hell cares about the ratings now? You don't hear much about ratings.
Right.
Exactly. That's the point I was trying to make to my brother-in-law is like, yeah, you can have ratings, but it doesn't really matter at this point. The only reason why I haven't switched to streaming is because, yes, it is here where I am, but the problem is I can't get Altitude TV right now with the streaming services that are available. I'm sure I could if I could figure it out, which is, by the way, is where the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche play their home games and away games. But if it's not the playoffs, I don't know how I can actually stream and see Altitude. Otherwise, I would definitely go to streaming.
Yeah.
Well, I know that my friends in Santa Fe, and I believe Santa Fe is still higher in altitude than Grand Junction, don't have an issue with streaming. If that makes you feel any better.
Right. Well, like I said, I've got Amazon. I'll tell you this. I've got Amazon. I've got some Netflix. You know, I don't have that many, truthfully, because with the way things are going, I want to choose mine. Mm-hmm. I want to choose mine when I start, because I'll be doing a little bit of a moving situation eventually. You know what I'm saying? And it's like when I figure that out, you don't have to worry about muting your cough. I don't care.
I feel bad.
You don't have to worry about that. But no, that. When you have all these situations, when I can see that, I want to be able to get those, but I want to be able to get it as a budget. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to budget this, because you can go. It could hit heavy really soon. As far as
you can hit really heavy, but like honestly, I'm not afraid to cancel a subscription. I'm sorry, but okay, there's a couple of things Netflix has coming out. Well, you know what? I bet you I can sign up for a 1-week free trial again.
Probably.
And watch what I want to watch.
They don't monitor that.
Hustle's good. Hustle's good.
Well, if they bring out another Glow, then I'll be happy with that. But right now, it's that 90s show that I'm really looking forward to. Not going to lie.
When does that come out? Because that's something I've wanted to watch.
They've started filming.
Here's what we could talk about with television. Let's use an example. canceling a TV show means nothing anymore.
No.
Magnum PI just got canceled. They're on net, and they're going to be going to Peacock now.
Well, and I can't get into the new Magnum PI. I'm sorry. I grew up with Tom Selleck.
No. I'm not that little shrimp. I ain't into that little shrimp with this. It's ridiculous.
I just can't.
And a female Higgins. No, thank you. But I'm just not going to say that part. No, thank you. It's like I grew up with it like you did, Jen. And so I can't. But guess what? This generation is into Magnum because they are on another streaming service. You can go anywhere. We can have 20 years of a television show now on 4 different networks.
Mm-hmm. We could. I mean, when you brought up the DirecTV with streaming, I think earlier in the season, I was like, what are you talking about? Then I researched and I understood that, we're going to have sports on streaming, and it's already happening. The question is when are the cable companies going to realize that's what we want? I know with my Spectrum, which is
I'll be right back. Hold on, guys.
You're good.
Yep.
Which is let's see, I can't remember who it's. Comcast. It's one of the offshoots of Comcast. Yeah, I can watch it, on my TV, but there are times where I'm, with my cable, where I sit and watch it, watch a game or two or whatever on my phone because it's just easier, and that's where everything is going. It's just a matter of when are the companies going to realize that.
Well, yeah, it's like they're like right now they're wondering about Xbox's future because they have that whole Google situation. And thank you, Jen. I love your look.
No, I'm not doing that. Like if you guys could see how pretty it is outside my window right now.
But that was the thing. It's like the whole Google situation with the gaming and stuff. We're not gonna have consoles anymore.
No, you're right.
Do you realize we are having a
How are you not going to have consoles anymore?
Because you can easily have it streaming.
They're literally doing a whole point where they're going to have wireless with everything. Like you can have your own little wireless.
How are they going to make money?
You can buy them off the server. Would be my guess.
Absolutely. You buy it off the server. It's like, how is GameStop still around? How are they still around? I mean, I think they stayed around because of that ridiculous stock dump, or that stock deal. But it's like,
I loved that.
I know.
That was a good story.
You know what? In finance, I freaking loved that.
No, don't get that wrong. It was pretty funny actually, but that's the reason they're around in the first place. Because guess what? No one goes in those stores. No one. Like two people an hour.
I know the one that we had in the mall, which was like 3 or 4 years ago, closed. I think I don't even know what it is. I was in the mall the other day and I was like, that's where, it's an ice cream shop now, or it's going to be. It's like, that's where the GameStop is. I think we might have one more, but I can't imagine, like you said, they're not doing very well because who's going to buy?
You can just do that.
Right.
Here's the thing. We're going to be called boomer. We're called boomer enough if you see three cables hanging down on our television.
Mm-hmm.
We're called that enough as it is. Just imagine if you even see one anymore. Are you going to need a cord to plug in the next few? I mean, whatever the thing is, they say, we can't see the cables anymore. You're not going to see them, period, because it's the way things are going.
Mm-hmm.
Question: who's being called a boomer out of this group? Because the three.
No, but I'm saying no. I'm talking about by itself. They will call older people boomers. If you see a cable lying down off the back of the television, they will do that because kids literally tie them up perfectly on their, they tie everything up perfectly, or you can't see a thing. You can't see their Xbox cable. You can't see anything. So yeah, they'll call it that. But. And you know what started this whole? I'm just saying, you want to know what started this whole? Let's see. I'm talking about the streaming deal. I'm just saying this. We had the ESPN Plus, but WWE Network a year earlier.
Oh, but they're on Peacock now.
Huh?
They're on Peacock now.
What I know, and I won't watch it with Peacock because they censor too much. But I'll tell you this. That's going to seg into this one here. I wanted to bring up because that's segging into this one. Vince McMahon, simply title.
Have either of you read the whole Wall Street Journal article or done the Reddit clip that I sent, link that I sent y'all?
No,
First
I have
of all,
not.
get on Reddit. Just telling you. Just get on Reddit. There's a lot more intellectual conversation and like-minded people. Not like-minded, but like people who are more respectful than on Facebook. Just saying.
Right.
No offense, but
Say,
where
keep offending. Keep offending. Who cares?
Yeah.
I really don't. I kind of do because I'm that girl.
Yeah.
So I'll let you guys go, and then I've read this article multiple times. I actually have it up right now on my phone, which is why y'all can't see, but yeah.
Well,
I also have it up on my Reddit page too, because it's a huge long link.
here's the thing. Yeah. Here's the thing with Vince. Knowing this is not shocking.
No.
Any of this whatsoever. None of it is. But you got to understand, I've been watching since 1984. And you want to know the amount of things I've heard that I didn't even pay. You know, when you're a kid, that you hear that he's done. This was just on the news alone. Let's see, sexual harassment to sexual assault of a female ring announcer. The steroid trials in the FBI. They had with Pat Patterson and everybody else, like dealing with ring kids. With ring boys, the ones that put up the ring, all that kind of stuff like that. Wrestlers who would lose their pushes or their chance at a push because they wouldn't do anything with, like, quote unquote Pat Patterson. There are so many different things that have involved Vince. And that is the absolute worst case because of what his personality is. But let's go with the best case. I'm just saying the best case of all this. He's an immature 11-year-old. You have to, and this is what every single wrestler has ever said from Hulk Hogan on about this. He is somebody that likes fart jokes, poop jokes. He likes sex jokes, everything. The reason we have such we've had such bad storylines and bad characters over the years because it amuses him. He doesn't think of the reason that all these, and I'll tell you this, the reason of all these years I believed that we had a more quote unquote adult wrestling, if you will, if you can call it that. But the reason we had it sounded like it, because Gorilla Monsoon was around. Gorilla used to own partial of WWF. He used to own part of it, like as a partial deal when Vince McMahon's dad was around. So he had a little bit of it, and then Vince bought his in a balloon payment, $250,000 each for 4 quarters. If he lost, he lost all his money and the thing if he didn't get it paid. And so once he bought it all, he put the old guard there, including Gorilla. And Gorilla was one of the rare ones that would go up to Vince and said, "This is stupid." And he'd listen. And I don't believe there's a Gorilla Monsoon. He's been gone since 99. I don't think there's a Gorilla Monsoon around on Vince that will be completely honest and just not care. And he is such an immature child as he is with all this. Like I said, like you bring up, sometimes you need, like I talked about Tebow with Urban, who is Urban's jerk, but he'd keep on his best behavior with Tebow. Sometimes you have to have that around, and there's no Gorilla Monsoon, and he's just been nothing but badly behaved since he's been gone.
We're gonna want to talk about this some more next week because we do only have 9 minutes left.
Yeah. Oh no, we had 14. I was gonna go to the full hour.
Oh, okay. Vince McMahon was born in North Carolina, in Goldsboro, North Carolina. He was born in a trailer park. His father owned the trailer park. He was the product of an extramarital affair. Vince McMahon may be immature, but he treats people like crap. He does not have health insurance for his employees, for these wrestlers. We do not turn on WWE in this house because of how shoddily he treats his wrestlers. And we're talking people who are literally getting CTE. We're talking about people who are breaking their backs. We're talking about Ric Flair freaking left. Charlotte Flair kind of become a monster from what I've heard. But I think she's about to come over to AEW too. I think that writing's on the wall because her father and her husband are over there. But Rick, excuse me. But Rick is going to do, I don't remember if it's WWE or AEW. He's supposed to go fight. Why in the world is Vince McMahon going to let him fight?
Well, Vince ain't going to do it. Vince, he's away from WWE. Vince isn't going to do it. But the wrestling.
And then with what they just did, I'm sorry, with the paralegal, here's where Vince McMahon and Dan Snyder are the same person, different industry, different sports. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's what I'm seeing. His daughter stepped away from WWE as the brand marketing brand ambassador.
Yep.
In April. She knew this was coming down the pipe. She's still on the board of directors. Her husband is on the board of directors. We've got all of this. So who's she going to side with? Mommy and the girl, the victim, who was, quote, tossed around like a toy to Laurinaitis, however you say his name. I don't care. He's a piece of crap too. They used funds because they had a record-breaking year last year, right? They made $1.1 billion, netted $180 million. So yeah, that was a record-breaking year for them. They used their publicly traded company now, right? They used public funds to pay this girl. Mm-hmm. And I don't know who broke the story. The young lady who
probably her
got the $3 million. Nope. It was somebody who saw the NDA.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because it was company money. So somebody on the board of directors probably got a hold of all of this, got in touch with the paralegal, because she was a paralegal. She went to law school. Then she never took a bar exam because she had to take care of an ailing parent. So she had kind of reached some financial hardships when she started at WWE initially. Then as a paralegal, then McMahon promoted her to, how do I say his last name? Laurinaitis. Jack off guy, whatever.
Road Warrior Animal's brother, so yeah.
Yeah. They promoted her to his admin assistant at $200,000 a year. Mm-hmm. I don't know most admins that make 200 G's a year. But again, public money, and it was after the affair started. Huge no-no. So, and the $3 million money from the company. Huge no-no. Now, my concern is anybody actually going to have the balls enough to do anything? Because we all know, with Dan Snyder, Roger Goodell doesn't.
I think he's gone, though. I think he is. It's like,
I hope he's gone.
I want Jordan to have his way, and then I'm going to finish up with something.
It's such a terrible story. I agree with what you guys are saying. I mean, this was money that was left that was paid obviously with public funds from the wrestling. The thing is, though, is how long has this been going on? That's my question. Was this
2 years?
There you go. Why is it coming out now? Why didn't it come out 2 years ago to say this is happening?
Got paid.
That lies the problem. When you get paid, you want the story to come out. Should have came out a long time ago.
Actually, I wonder if it didn't come out from someone with the IRS.
That is a very good question. I can't answer that. But the thing is, though,
she was buying a house and they saw. I do mortgage processing, so if you see a jump in, I'm just saying, some things it could be anything.
But for $3 million, I mean, that's really not a whole lot of money for Vince McMahon. That's why he can do that. But we've seen so many stories about this, and I just wish this would come out sooner so that us as the public know what's going on, rather than saying, oh, it's a $3 million transfer to this lady, hush money. I'd like to see him come out sooner so that way we can get the better story, or the full story. But yeah, I definitely agree that Vince McMahon is in really hot water. I could see him leaving. But then again, board of directors. Do you really think the board of directors is going to do that?
Yeah. They're so darned afraid. They are so darned afraid of their own shadow. They trip over their own feet over the stupidest things. This is real. But I wanted to bring something up real fast, and we'll go to the feel good segment.
Yay! I like those.
Yeah, but I'm going to bring this. I'm going to bring up 4 names right now Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold, and John Cena. What's in common, it's not just that they're legends. Each and every, and now CM Punk will say 5.
CM Punk goes back to AEW though because he refused to ever go.
No, I'm talking about his name. I'm talking about his name. He owns his own name. So these are guys that own their own selves. They own their own selves. They are multi-million. I mean, Hulk. I'll tell you a nice little deal that Hulk has. He has his own little shop. He's got all WWE stuff in there, which means even when he was out from that whole racism deal, he was still making a pile of money because he was getting his percentage from spending because he would sell their belts, he would sell their items, their dolls, their everything. So he got himself. Every one of those that I brought up did it without Vince. So what does Vince do? This tells me his character. He does a product that is so ridiculously boring, but only people know about WWE, not the person. Roman Reigns is a star, but he's not going to get that far. John Cena is the last. He's the last to be able to get it, and it's because until Vince dies, and then they could really get somewhere. But this is the thing. It's the fact that you can tell the character when you got those 4 guys, you could easily just Vince. All he would have to say is like Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold, John Cena. Look at all the millions of dollars they've got by themselves. This item because of me. Instead, he changes his product to where it's all because of him. It's all because of him. And that is the character right there. He doesn't want you get away from him. He has to have the credit.
Out of those 4 men you just mentioned, or 5 men, only CM Punk and The Rock. They're the only 2 without any true controversies. CM Punk had addiction issues. He left. He got sober. He came back. He didn't want to do the storylines. He left. He was like, I got my money. I got my sobriety. I'm cool. AEW came in knocking. Here's some more money. We'll support you in your struggle. We'll back you up on your storylines. We just got to work together on them. And that's I didn't ever have a problem with John Cena till a couple of years ago. But literally, the only thing that ever got attached to The Rock was some fake interview that came out, and it was obviously photoshopped and put together. And that was in 2019. That was barely a blip.
Yeah, and it's and those are the things though. But I'm saying all he would have to do to even build his thing even more is just say those 4 or 5 names. They made it, but and it was because of my end and my whole thing. Instead, he wants the credit for everything, so he builds a product that's terrible. And even though it makes money because of,
and I feel like he wants to. For some reason, I feel like he wants WWE to fall.
Because he's going to die. Because he's getting old enough to where he can think about death, and then, and then it's like
sell it off, make money, honey, get generational wealth.
Yeah, but he's got generational wealth. But I'm just saying, he has that ego.
He's so selfish. He's not well, I shouldn't have said that because he's so selfish. He is not going to be sharing any of that money with his kids.
Probably not.
They've got their own.
True, but
how does it sound to have a feel good story?
I like feel good stories.
That's why
actually this one.
Take us away, Jordan.
Well, this past week, Miles Copeland, was playing in the basketball league playoff, plays for Toledo Glass City. And actually, he was noticing that, or I guess he was playing in it, and then during the game, a referee fell to the ground unconscious. Nobody around was really doing anything. And he's like, you know what? I know what to do. He sprung into action, did CPR for 30 minutes on this ref while the paramedics were coming, and luckily it saved this guy's life. I just can't imagine what happens if he doesn't have no CPR, if no one else does.
Right.
It's a scary thought, but thank goodness he did. And actually his message was, if you can get certified for CPR, please do so. It can save somebody's life. And we just saw it this past week.
Exactly.
And
it doesn't cost that much money to get certified.
And and I'll tell you this. that's another. I'll just bring a quick thing with Vince McMahon going into this. His whole thing with the '80s brought a wrong idea of badass. You know, a badass because they're big, they're muscular, they're superheroes, whatever. I mean, to this day, his product does this. But you know what badass is? That. A firefighter. Firefighter. And everything. Who was on from a 12-hour shift, went to go play a game, who's already tired as hell probably. And that. And then he just did that. Then he won the game to boot. Then he went out and won the game to boot. They won their game. And it's like, see, we missed this whole point. Badass is a mindset. It's a mindset. It is. Can you jump into action in that moment? Even when you're scared, even when everything's going, it's like everybody looked at the physical thing of a John Wayne, but it takes you can look like John. He was 6'4", about 70 pounds at the end. But okay, so it looks at but guess what? That's also an old grizzly old man who's been through it forever. I'm just saying the characters. That's a grizzly old man who's been through it. So yeah, his mind is ready. There are people that are muscles that can't take a cold. They can't take a cold, and it's like everything. And then there was an old guy named Audie Murphy, an old actor way back when. Audie Murphy died in like 71. He was 132 pounds. And he was in a firefight, and the plane was on fire. He climbs out of the plane while it's on fire, goes to the gun, and shoots while he's falling. Shoots the people, shoots them down, and then he lands his plane and crash lands. And he was alive. That's badass. We have badasses all over the place, but we don't have a perspective. Even to this internet, to this day, we have no perspective. The people don't of what badass is, and that Miles Copeland's a badass.
9/11.
Yeah.
Our guys, our first responders on 9/11, total badasses. Total 100%. Oh, yeah.
And some of them died.
And they're still dying.
Yeah. Yeah. They're still, and it's like that's the thing. Who has the guts to go in? That's the biggest deal. And that guy did, because there were people that were probably
obviously not the police officers in Texas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah.
See, but let me say this real fast about them is when you've been just beaten up all the time online, you're just beaten up, and then the police forces are so afraid and they're stepping on eggshells to like even make a move. Oh my God, is he a brown skin? Is he black guy? Is he Latino? If they're gonna kill us, they're gonna mob if we kill the guy. That's what they're thinking instead of taking action. Instead of taking action, who cares? The common sense should be, who cares?
Here's my problem with that.
Go ahead.
I disagree with you on that. First of all, you know what you're signing up for. Yeah, do some of them get a bad rep? Absolutely. You know what you're signing up for. I work for Wells Fargo. Don't want to hear it.
No,
we're in the news every other day, and half of it, I struggle to. Never mind. But
no, but I just want to tell you, Jen,
I'm just saying.
With you.
With a training course the week before, the grandmother called an hour before the shooting took place. The kids sat outside the school 2 hours before the shooting took place. The kids stayed outside the school. Nobody came up to the kid outside the school for an hour.
I know.
And then they could stand there and keep parents back from going in.
And then one of the parents ran away from him, climbed and got.
I love her.
Love that. Love it.
I mean,
and a couple of the cops went in and got their own kids out.
I mean, at that point, you just got to let the parents do what they need to do to make sure their kids are okay.
It's Texas. There's gonna be guns. We're not talking
But that's all I was saying, Jen. I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying that their thought process should be to serve and protect. Instead, it's gotten, oh my God, what is he? What is he next? Are we going to get mobs? It shouldn't be this way.
It shouldn't be this way.
I agree.
But they need to reevaluate why it is this way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm not anti-cop, okay? I'm really not.
No.
But I'm very much pro-reformation.
Oh.
And a lot of police officers are too.
Well, you've heard my reformation thing. Let's start equally doing gun training and hand-to-hand training equally. Guess what? I've talked to the people. They say, how much gun training do you get? I've talked to cops. They said every bit of it, all the time, all the hour. I mean, all we want. But how much hand-to-hand training? Only it's not mandatory. Only if we want it. I've heard cops tell me this, and it's like this is why one guy can get away from 2 cops who tackle the guy and then take their taser and do all that stuff. This is why. But then you'll see the occasional cop who has the hand-to-hand training that can pull him over in 4 seconds and tie him up.
Oh, did you guys see what? Who am I thinking of? On AEW, he used to be WWE. His first name's Chris. Why am I blanking on his last name? Wrestler.
Okay.
Older dude.
Oh,
he still does wrestle. He wrestled last night.
I have to remember for a second, but
his family's in Florida.
Okay.
I love this. This was also a really good badass move.
Chris Jericho.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Jericho, like last week or the week before, I found out after repeated calls to the school in I think Parkland, Florida. Name sound familiar? Anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
To not only the school that his niece attended, but to the school district and to the superintendent's office. He finally tweeted out that it was a shame that X school was not helping his niece deal with the bullies, and that he was going to have to teach, her. So all of a sudden the school was like, oh crap, he has like 500 million freaking Twitter followers. And he just tweeted this out on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere. And guess what? His niece started getting the help she needed. So like Jericho and this guy, Copeland, these guys are heroes, like Jericho, real life hero, like fake stuff in the ring, obviously, but real life hero. And I love that. Family takes care of family. I love that a stranger is saving another stranger's life. I love that. And then, article the other day, newspaper here in Charlotte, there was an article talking about how some beachgoers and the Outer Banks pulled a struggling swimmer out of the beach water. I love that.
Yeah.
Everybody has the ability to lead. Everybody has the ability to save a life and to help someone.
If you do.
I wish we would have more stories like that. Unfortunately, the media just goes to...
Oh, I know. I can't watch the news that much anymore.
That's exactly why I don't, because it's all about, violence and not feel good stories, unfortunately.
Donald Trump stinks and Joe Biden stinks and Nancy Pelosi is great. And
she's drunk. But no.
That's her husband.
But no, exactly. But no, this is the thing. This is what, I do this every show at the end, and we're about to have to go. But here's the thing. I bring this up. Pundits Pundit. I'm not saying we have good news all the time, but you know what we have all the time? Conversation. We're not yelling. We're not everything like that. It's not stupid, ridiculous hot takes. It's not absurd hot takes that gets all that stuff like that. It is something that's going to make something make sense, and then we may agree. And you had a little disagreement. I was just saying we're having a good conversation. Let's get that back on the news. Guess what? The big powers that be may not like it, but eventually it's got to topple. And then we can start it by itself, and we could be a start to something.
Right.
Quit the yelling. Quit the yelling. Quit making Stephen A. a star because he screams a lot and he's about 5'3". Quit making that popular. Start getting something smart. Start getting something smart out there. Quit saying things like, oh, Steph has no help. Oh, give me a break. Then quit saying things like, oh, like Brian Windhorst would say, $340 million the Warriors have. It's, I guess he's a LeBron fan. Let's quit this. Let's get real.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I brought Pundits Pundit. And do you know something? Jordan, you've been on a couple of shows. You're a very intelligent dude. Shearer's been on a show. I get Jay, who's awesome. You know that, Jen. Jay's awesome.
I love Jay, yeah.
And we love Jay. And do you know something, though? More people are starting to see this. It's like, Shearer's a very smart guy. They're seeing this. They want to be on something like this. They want to talk. They want to talk more than the stats. Yeah. They want to talk more than meathead stuff. My team's better than yours. Your team's better.
I just get frustrated with people who sit behind PFF all day long.
Don't
try to correct me and my team because, honey, you ain't watching my Panthers.
Hey, this is
I'm watching them.
This is the anti-PFF.
Right.
I mean, I do not ever want to. I don't want PFF anywhere near this thing. They're horrible. They make their multi-millions, but they're horrible. And that is the anti-PFF. But I'm saying it's not meathead crap.
PFF has helped me win arguments, though. I'm not going to lie.
Okay,
there's a very heated debate that I will go into. And I'm like, no, it's not because of this. It's because of this.
I broke Cox right twice a day. Big deal.
Well, guys, let's start telling everybody where we can find each other. Jordan, tell the folks where they can find you, sir.
You can find me at Sports Scoop 1 on Twitter. I have a blog that I write Mondays through Thursdays with podcasts on Fridays at sports-scoop.com. I also have a Sideline Sports Network show, which is usually on the network on Fridays, uploaded on Saturdays. It's called Under Review, which is Colorado sports with a sprinkling of national sports headlines as well. And, of course, you can find me on The Confidential with these two on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. And during the NFL season, the NFL carousel, as I represent the Denver Broncos, and the NBA carousel, I did the Phoenix Suns as well as the Denver Nuggets.
Awesome, Jordan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, Pundit, where can we find you at, sir?
Well, we will find me on Sunday nights. Sunday nights on the Basket Bros with Will, Jay, and Dom. Dom will always have his beer, so don't worry about that. Anybody's worried about it. Then Monday nights during the season, I will always bring up, because Megan has an awesome show. I will always bring it up. I'm on that the carousel, the NBA carousel, and I will make sure to pick a team that's worth it. That's who cares now. So we got that Monday nights. Tuesday nights.
I think you should do the one that LeBron's going to buy in Vegas.
Considering I've been the one saying Sacramento's moving to Vegas, that might go through. Considering how but Tuesday is confidential. Tuesday's confidential with 9,830 people of Sideline Sports.
All right, it feels that way.
Just three of us: Jay, Steve, JB.
And Will chimes in a little bit. We actually had Will for a few minutes.
We had 50 minutes, and then he's like, "Yay, Yankees, bye." Then, Thursday.
I don't know why Will wants to be on Confidential. Like, I love Will, y'all know that, but
at least he comments.
I know.
No, Thursday night, this show right here, the Pundits Pundit, where we talk about things that a lot of people don't, and I am proud of that. And I'm proud of that. I've got Jen, the awesome. Jen, the beautiful. Jen, the awesome. I got Jordan here. I don't know what to call you. I got, but the radio voice. But,
there you go.
But I am proud of this, and I'm proud of everybody that wants to be on. I'm glad to have you, Jordan. I hope to have you more. And I'm proud of this show, and I can't wait to see more. And we're going to see it from there. And you guys have a wonderful night.
You too. Bye, guys.